put that in there is because um, every bee's temperament that we talked about last time is different. And if you're not necessarily working the hive, if you're just out there visually looking at your hive or walking around, there's a good chance you do not need to smoke your bees. Um, the intention of the smoke is to help calm your bees. So if you go to open your hive or you're in your hive or your apiary and your bees are going crazy for whatever reason, there's a chance you might need to use smoke. I was told when I first started, and I do think this is pretty smart, is whenever you go in your apiary and you're going to work, you should always have your smoker set up and running while you're, even if you're not using it, just still have it going so that if you need to, you can like jump to it almost and grab it and smoke your bees because when they get riled up, when they get pretty feisty, you'll know really fast they're getting feisty. Like the noise level changes, the smells change, and so if you have it ready and going, then you can just grab it and use it. So the little picture on the bottom is just a can of a bag of fodder that I got with my kit when I got my bees. But you can use many different things. Like I've heard people using paper, cardboard, pine needles. And it's also important you don't over smoke your bees. Like if you smoke them a little bit and they're not going too crazy, they're allowing you to work your hive, then there's really no reason to keep smoking your bees because if you smoke them too much, they'll think there's a fire from what I've read and they'll want to leave. So you don't want your bees to leave. You just want them to not be so aggressive and you want them a little more docile. Adam, do you have anything?
No, that was really good. And when bees produce a pheromone and they let that pheromone out to warn the whole colony that there's an intruder. And that's also the smoke is also a cover scent to cover that pheromone, so not everybody starts stinging you in the mask and stuff like that. Just a real quick addition to what David is saying. Um, I use horse bedding. To be honest, it's just wood chips. My parents have horses, and they buy the big wood compressed wood chips shavings by like they're I think 25 or 50 pound bags, and I have a small bucket. I think it's a 2 gallon bucket, and when I need wood shavings, I just go over there and take a big old scoop in that 2 gallon bucket, and I will say that I barely put a dent in that 2 gallon bucket all season long. And granted, I only have a few hives. It's not like I have, you know, 50 hives. I'm sure if I have more or when I have more, though, it'll require more. But as David's saying, don't over smoke your bees. Good point.
All right. With that, we'll move on to the next slide, the slide 4. Um, so if you guys don't know me that well, I actually have 3 children, a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and my 6-year-old being a girl. So I'm a outside woodsy guy all the time. So my daughter said I was getting into bees, and she said, Dad, I want to do bees with you. So I thought, well, at first I couldn't really let her because I didn't have an outfit for her. So then we got her own outfit. So if you look at the image here, this is her bee suit, and hers is a whole top to bottom suit. Um, and I'm just using this as a tool to help get my daughter involved. Like, she plans to send some of her honey to the 4-H. She can get scored on it as a 6-year-old, where she's not really a part of 4-H, but it's something to get her involved in. Like, the way I feel about this, and the part of the reason we're having this group, in my opinion, is just to share the knowledge. Like some people say, well, I don't want bees, but I want to know what helps bees. Or bees actually do a tremendous amount of things for us, as we covered the last time we talked. Whether it's making your garden better, making your flowers better, you know, even even simple things like the trees, the pollen from your trees, they help with those as well. So I use this as an opportunity for my daughter to get involved, and she loves it. And personally, for me too, my daughter's more of a nervous person, so before we go in there, you know, we calm ourselves down. We talk about what we're going to do. We talk about our plan. Like Leah, we're going to have to be calm. You know, we can't be aggressive because bees feel it. It's almost like a dog or a horse. They can feel when you're all wound up or you're uptight. And just with this alone too, it helps when you have other bees around or other insects, because if your first reaction is always to swat at them, then they're going to sting you. So, this has kind of taught her to slow down a little bit. And if she slows down, then I slow down a lot because she's awesome. So I just try to lead by example. Adam, do you have anything to add to this one?
Yeah, I mean, I did the same with my 4-year. And it's the same idea as David has, it's like I want to get my children involved as well, because not only is it a hobby, but it also provides something for them, from spring until, late summer. You can get the wax and the honey. And my oldest loves it. So for his birthday this year, I got him basically the same thing as David bought his daughter. And same thing. It helps calm him down. If he's calm, I'm calm. It teaches us how to work together. There's a whole slew of things, but yeah, agreed.
All right. And with that, we're going to move on to my 5th slide. All right. So here's an image of my suit. I only have the upper half suit with a veil. I chose this one because of the way it closes. Actually, it's super tight, obviously around your whole body, but you can take the hood off like as soon as you get away from it. When you wear these in the summer, it's really, really warm. So the moment you feel like you're out and away from the bees and you've gotten them off you, like, I love having the ability to take the hood off and still have my body protected, my top half, of course, just so that I'm more comfortable. And I have made the mistake, and I'm sure I'm going to get a couple of chuckles out of this. I was wearing my suit when I was working my bees one time in shorts and cowboy boots, because that's apparently what I wear in the summer. I know. So there were some yellow jackets on my beehive trying to get in my bees. And I was like, what are you doing, yellow jackets? Like, this is not your place. So I unconsciously thought, I'm going to go up and squish these yellow jackets so they won't get into my bees. And I did it, and I squished them. However, then my honeybees decided, you should not be touching my box right now. And this was after I got my veil off, of course, and they decided they were going to sting me. So I think that time I got stung, but I don't even know how many times. But yes, in shorts, probably not the best idea, but that was a fun adventure of what happened. There's also many different styles of veils. Some of them are just a head veil themselves, that like tie down and hold close to your shirt. There's the suit like I showed you for my daughters on the previous slide that you can get for adults too. I would imagine those are ungodly amount of hot in the summer. But each suit has its own perk. The picture with my daughters also had the gloves that I use. They're really long and they're really thick. So the thickness of the gloves is kind of a hindrance on the fact that sometimes you don't feel everything. So like if you're touching a bee or you're putting your lids down, you might actually squish a couple, which, trust me, if you ever have bees, you will squish them. You will feel bad, but you just can't prevent it too much. Adam, do you have anything on this one?
No, I will say that wearing jeans and boots and gloves, and even your jacket and veil there is, even though it's vented, because they're all vented, it is sweltering. It is sweltering hot in the summer. In the spring, I just use a safari type veil. It looks like a safari hat, but the veil fits over it. And that's what I use during the spring and early summer until the bees start to, the colony builds up and starts to get really big. And then I switch to the jacket and veil like David has. It's just worth your time. I use, for gloves, I use 2 pairs of, I think it's 3mm nitrile gloves. And for whatever reason, I haven't been stung. And it does give me a little bit more dexterity within my fingers. Instead of squishing bees, I'll feel them wiggle, trying to get out from underneath my my fingers or my hand or something. I haven't been stung through those, so I have heard that bees aren't able to sting through the nitrile or 2 layers of nitrile gloves. But I did find that the leather gloves do have their pros to them as well. So yeah.
Hey, Adam, do you see the question? Or I can read it. So is that normal for yellow jackets, or David, is that normal for yellow jackets to get into your hives, and what do you do if that happens?
So it is normal for just about anything to want to get into your hives, but you have enough bees in there. They could have easily fended those yellow jackets off. Yellow jackets, if like there was a whole swarm, that would probably be a different instance, and I haven't experienced that myself, honestly. Have you ever seen the movie Ants? I think in that movie they actually have, like, in this movie I think it's grasshoppers, but uh, like the way they go in like that, like the whole colony of your honeybees will fend them off and ward them off, excuse me. Um, but yeah, I don't think there's too much you can do to really stop them, because like my hives are out in the field, like, so you can't be out there all the time. One thing that I've heard, one of my good friends who has multiple hives, his biggest problem was skunks. A skunk will come up and put his nose right up against the hole of your hive, your exit hive, and they will scratch your hive. And they'll scratch your hive trying to show that their hive is being attacked. So when your bees go to escape, they fly right into the skunk's mouth, and the skunk eats them, like pretty much just drinks them up, spits out their bodies, and then continues to scratch. So there's things outside of uh, other bees that will want your honey. Like ants will always try to get in your box. Many different other types of bugs, but normally your hive, if it's a strong hive, they won't have a problem at all fending it off and keeping them out of their hive. Adam, do you have anything else?
If you're in, just remember, if you're in bear country, go to PSC or Family Farm and Home or Family Farm and Fleet, whatever they call that now, and you can actually buy electric fencing. And I know that's what they do up north and in the Upper Peninsula here in Michigan, is that they actually cordon off their apiaries with electric fencing. And and one of the guys I know that lives in the UP now, his wife accidentally touched her fanny to the fencing and got bit pretty good. So that's another way to ward off varmints, skunks, raccoons, minks, you name it. Wax moths, they'll get into your hive and lay eggs and just destroy your hive. Hive beetles, yeah, like David said, there's a lot of stuff out there that'll come and get your bees, and if your colony's not strong enough to defend itself, it'll succumb, no matter what it is, wax moths or bears.
Yep. All right, so we're going to go on to the next slide, which I believe is 6. And this has an image of one of the feeders that I have. When I got my kit, I think it came with just about everything I needed to start. And this was the feeder it gave me. So there are many different types. The one, in my opinion, the benefits of this feeder that's displayed right here is that your hive, they're going to go through this every day and a half to 2 days. So if you're diligent of caring for your bees, you're going to have to go out there every 1 to 2 days to refill this. In the spring, I've always been taught to use a 1-to-1 mixture, 1 cup of water per 1 cup of sugar, bring it to a boil on the stove, and then store it up. Or if you do it each trip individually, it's going to take you a lot of time. But in the fall, I changed to 2-to-1, 2 cups of sugar per cup of water. And the bees use this specifically for making comb. Like when you first start, it's super important to have this for your hives to build comb. And in the spring, you don't want to use a super strong mixture, because then your honey that you, or if you're able to extract honey, will be just almost like, I don't want to say watery, but it won't be as sweet as if they use pollens and other things to build their comb and honey out. Um, and in the winter, when you're changing to the 2-to-1 mixture, you're trying to give them that extra sugar so they have more supplies to make it through winter. Because say your box was completely full of honey and you didn't extract honey, there's a good chance you would not need to give them anything because they have enough stores to make it through the winter. However, my opinion is, why would you want to take a chance? You know, if you physically saw your whole box was just loaded down with brew and honey, then you'd probably be okay. But they have to be able to get to that honey to use it as food, because obviously that's what they use as food. Adam, do you have anything you want to add to this one?
Yeah, just one thing. So you'll hear, if you get on YouTube and start searching, you'll most likely hear a common phrase used, and that is called bee space. And what bee space is drawn comb. Understanding what bee space was, because I bought my hive with the plastic foundation with wax already on it, but that's not bee space. and when you get your first package or first nuke of bees, they want bee space. They want drawn comb, and we'll get into this later on. But as David was saying, the 1-to-1 mixture is like crucial, because they'll smell the sweetness of that, and like David said, I was feeding my bees daily, if not twice a day on the one hive. But yeah, it's really critical to feed your bees, because it not only allows them to draw comb, but it also gives the queen a sense that there's enough nectar that she'll lay more eggs. I think like 1,100 or 1,500 eggs a day. So as long as the bees are busy and doing bee things, and you're feeding them, your hive has a really good chance to produce. So that's all I have.
All right, we're going to go to the slide 7. All right, and I think I have a couple more pictures of types of feeders. This again, to me, is all about like what bees is about, and what I mean by that is there's another option here. Say you are not somebody who has availability to go out to your bees every day, like for whatever reason, you know, you're just busy, you have things going on. You know, a feeder like this is called a frame feeder. So if you had a 10 frame box, you take one of your frames out, one of the outside frames out, you insert this feeder and fill up with your sugar water mixture, and the bees just go right in there and get it out, which obviously, since it's a little bit larger of a container, it potentially can last longer. And it's important to find out what fits you, because I actually tried to switch to a top hive feeder, which I'll show you on I think it's in like 2 more slides, that it holds a lot more. Like I think it holds, I want to say like over, I think almost 2 gallons. So, and my bees loved it. However, after like when I was getting towards like the 4th or 5th day, I could start to smell that it was not ripened, because it's obviously the sun's beating down and heating it up, but it smelled different. So I didn't, I was kind of worried about them. I didn't want my bees to be getting like, I don't think they're going to get drunk on sugar water, but hopefully everybody understands what I'm saying. So you have to find out what fits you. If you're the glass jar from the last slide on slide 6, it almost forces you to be out there every day, which is important, because then it makes you get a little bit more familiar with your bees. It allows you to just have that interaction. And a lot of times, if your bees are calm, you can easily go out and change the feeder on number 6 with nothing. Like I've done that multiple times. Granted, if you're allergic or anything like that, I wouldn't do that. But like the bees are okay with you pulling it out, putting a new feeder on there, and setting it right back in there with no issues. Adam, do you have anything to add to slide 7?
No, sir. Nope, I'm good.
All right, we'll go to slide 8. All right, so this right here is pretty much what I got with my original set of beehives what's displayed here is a 10 frame box with a honey super on top. There's different types to choose from. Adam showed different types of them, different styles of them. I feel like this is the most common. And my boxes are all painted. Mine are all white. I have a buddy who has, I think he has 150 different hives. I said, Jeff, how do you pick what color you got? He said, well, whatever color I have left is the color I use. So normally use like a bright, vibrant colors if that's available, because just like bees like bright, vibrant colors. So in my mind, I thought, well, if winter's so hard on them, why don't I paint my box black so it draws more heat? And that's actually not a good idea, because in the summer, what does black do? It still attracts more heat. I have a picture that I'll send for the next one. It's with bees bearded up all over the outside of my box. And what that means is the bees will line up to pretty much circulate the air to get fresh air in and out of their box. So if you have a hive that has, it's a very successful hive, it's just growing, sometimes what you need to do is add another box on top of your, or below your super. So the image here, you'd have one more box before that shorter box on top. This allows the bees to grow and expand and to create more comb and brood for them to make more bees. Something to note too, when you have a 10 frame box, I think when I weighed mine last year, I think it was roughly, I want to say 90 pounds, but like roughly 80 pounds if they have capped honey. So they also have 5 frame boxes, and they also have shorts. The one displayed here is a deep. The bottom box is a deep, which if you're older or you don't like to lift heavy things, like the shallower boxes would be more beneficial for you, because it's a lot of work. My friend that has all those hives, he created a hoist on the back of his truck. That's how heavy they get. And he actually had one of his boxes break while trying to pick it up to put it on his truck. So he had his whole hive get pretty much like blown up out of his box. So it just shows you how important and how heavy those things can be. You know, if he put a hoist on the back of his truck to put them in there, that, you know, this another thing to keep in mind is that. Adam, do you have anything else with that?
Yeah, I do want to say that even the honey super, the top box, the smaller of the 2 boxes, if you have a 10 frame, those are also heavy. And most of you don't know me. I'm short. I'm 5'7" on a bright sunny day. And my hives are elevated off the ground, the height of a cinder block, standing on end. So when one of my hives got 2 deeps, the bottom box here, 2 deeps and 4 of the top medium honey supers, it was taller than a, and I'm telling you, it's tough. And if you have back problems, or height issues, it's rough. I thought I like messed up my shoulders. Actually, I did mess up my shoulder, taking one of the boxes off, and it's all glued together. The bees have the propolis, or the I call it propolis, that they seal those boxes together with. And if you don't break the propolis in between each one of the boxes, and you go to heave them off like I did, just out of brute force, you're going to really tick the bees off. And C, you can really mess up your shoulders, because like we're saying, 80, 100 pounds, that's rough. At waist level, it's not like you're trying to squat down and use proper body mechanics to lift this up. I mean, rough. So just real quick, I do want to go over the parts and pieces of this hive that we have here. So we're going to start at the top. The top is your outer cover. Underneath that, what you can't see, is an inner cover. And then you have a 10 frame medium. Below that, we have a 10 frame deep. And then we have the little slat there is called an entrance reducer. In in the blazing heat of summer, you can take that whole thing out, and it really opens the hive up for some airflow. However, it does introduce more threats to the hive if you're thinking of security reasons and stuff like that. As far as the hive goes, the wax moths to get in there. It's a bigger piece to defend, so they have times there are security guards. God, there's bouncers at the door. That's exactly what it is. As bees fly in, they check their ID. Yep, you're part of my hive. Come on in. They see the yellow jacket. No, boom, and they get into a wrestling match. It's pretty cool. And then you on the very bottom there is your bottom board, and we'll get into this later on, but there are, I'm going to say, at least 5 different types of bottom boards that you can buy. And that's all climate. And, one of my hives was pretty feisty. My larger hive was very feisty, in fact. So I didn't want to go in there messing around with the bottom board. I just let them have a solid wood bottom board. My other hive was smaller, and I probably screened bottom board in. But, that was just me. That's all I have, David.
Oh, I like that. That's all right. So we'll move to the next slide. And what I have here is I just have a couple more images. I actually feel like I should have taken a couple better pictures. So right in the middle, that's like what I got on a little Nukin. So that had 5 frames in it with a queen, with some of her bees that I got this year. And then the picture on the left, is a honey super with one of the frames. And that just shows you they're kind of shaped out. They do have blacks, but they're not like completely filled out where the bees will do that with comb before they fill it with honey. And then the image on the right is the top feeder. So you put that on top of the box. The bees funnel up through the bottom of it and crawl down in it. When I originally got this at first, I was like, well, I don't want my bees to drown. But on the inside of that clear plastic lid, there's ridges. So the bees just climb on it like a little ladder almost. And then as the levels go down, they're able to just go down inside of that and get it out. So that's just a couple more pictures. If you look in the picture on the left and the back right, and also the picture on the right and the back left, that's actually like a little bee bus I got. So the reason I have that is because if I ever see a swarm, I can easily just keep that box around. It's really it's pretty much just a cardboard box, but it's got screens in it and vent holes already cut in it. So if I ever had a hive or somebody called me and said, David, I had a hive, I need you to come get it, that I'd have something quick and ready to go. And then I would just bring some tape and tape it down so that they couldn't get out. So it's just something I have around because I hope people will let me know if there's a hive. Adam, do you have anything else you want to add to that one?
I'm good to go, sir. Thank you.
All right. So on the last page, I just want to go over a little bit, like what we talked about a little bit so far. We want to know what you guys want to know. Like, I know I should have thrown in something for Lisa specifically, in my opinion, because she sent me a question or asked me, like, what type of flowers. Like, that would be a good thing for us to include. So if you guys have a topic that we haven't covered yet, or there's something specific you want to learn, such as like flower types or things to help bring bees into your area, let us know so we can make sure we cover it, because like I said, we are not experts. We are sharing our knowledge that we have obtained this far. And if you guys have something that you know that maybe we've spoken wrong at any point in time, please speak up and let us know. And we just want to have the whole groups being able to interact. So the more you guys interact, the more topics we'll have, because we don't want to repeat. We don't want to waste anybody's time. I know I get excited when I'm doing this, and I know I am excited because I read through my slides really fast and I get excited. But I'm excited about it. So hopefully some of you are also catching the itch to, maybe try this out. Make sure you guys, if you could, make sure Lisa gets your email so we can kind of keep track of who is on the meeting and on the call, because sometimes I think we just got a phone number where we didn't know whose phone number was which, so that we can keep track of how many people we have, and if we're growing, hopefully we grow. And I want to
And then
thank
I
everybody
can
for
send
their
them out emails. Yeah, I can send
Yeah.
emails to you as well. If you come on and call in, I don't have your name or your email. So if you could email that to me, my email's on the last slide, I would appreciate it. David Clark just commented and he said to tell Adam and David, thanks for this again. He had bees 40 years ago and he's hoping to get them back in the next couple of years. So he appreciates this.
Be 40 years, then hopefully he has some experience and knowledge, even if he hasn't done it in a while, that he could hopefully pass on to us. Like that's our
Yeah.
goal. This is we want to use everybody else too. Like I'm not an expert in this, so if you could tell me a better way to help my bees survive or help me get more honey out of my bees, that's what I'm here for. Like, and then I just like the interaction. Like a big support group for bees.
Hey,
Yes.
real quick, everybody, if you're listening, and maybe I can find the link and send it to Lisa. But the place for flowers, David, you can send this to Lisa too if Lisa's not on the email group. But the place for flowers is called the Xerxes Society. It's the Greek god. I think he's a Greek god, Xerxes. Yeah, Xerxes Society. If you go out there, you can buy packets of flowers. I say packets of seeds for flowers. They tell you the groupings, what's the best pollinator, what's a really good florist. I think I'm going to do that this year. Not this year, obviously. Spring of 21, and just like rototill a big spot in the field and take a big handful of seeds and throw them over my shoulder, and they fall where they lay. I think that's what I'm going to do, just to give some extra color to the field. But that's a good spot to go, Xerxes Society. And there's a lot of stuff on the MSU, Michigan State University's B. Gosh, I'll look for it.
Heroes,
Sorry.
the agricultural site, Adam?
Yes. And I think the link for the Xerxes Society is there as well.
If you send me those
yeah.
links, I will send them out.
Hold on, I got my personal laptop right here. Let me check it out.
And while
Okay.
I'm looking that up, I also kind of want to challenge the group to, like, if you're new to this, like, you could always keep track of your links that you're using for information. Like, I know Adam, he's a YouTuber. I'm not so much YouTube. I'm more old school, like, physically show me how to learn this. If you go to a bunch of sites and you found them useful, obviously maybe you're not into bees yet, or if you have had bees, you've used it and found it useful. Like, if you could, let's start like a share group and we'll save those locations. So like if I'm looking for how to overwinter bees and you have a site that worked really good for you and it's been successful, then we can go right to that. So then we can try to weed out information of like Adam was saying, faulty information, more or less.
Real quick, that link for Michigan State is pollinators.msu.edu. So that would be Echo Delta uniform. And everything you need there is there. I think their Pollinator Champions tab at the bottom is how, if you don't want to do bees, but you want to promote honeybees, you can Pollinator Champion, and you can plant these flowers amongst your flower beds, and they are, if you go to the website, you can read all about it. I'm not going to sit here and speak to it. Good information. Michigan State University, Purdue University, University of Minnesota, and the University of Guelph out of Canada. They're in Ontario, Canada. Very good sources of information. That's not YouTube.
Michigan State, Purdue. What were the other ones? I'm just typing them in there.
Minnesota. And hold on. University of, I'm going to spell it out. GUELPH.
And that's in Canada?
Yep.
Okay.
They actually received I think it was a private grant for bee research, but it was like millions of dollars. Like they have their own like research space for honeybees. It's really, and their YouTube channel is awesome.
For which one is
University.
the YouTube that's okay? University of Gallup has good YouTube videos.
Yeah. Yes. That's a
Okay.
great source of information.
That's good to know. And again, just to reiterate what David said, if anyone has or is thinking about anything topics that they want to learn about or would like to us for David and Adam to talk about, please email or send us. You can comment here on chat.
Yeah, and it's also just one more thing with that is if you are a senior beekeeper yourself and you're on here just for a little bit more knowledge, feel free. Like if you have a couple things you want to put on the slides or to present to the rest of us, I'm just as good listening to someone else speak about something they've learned as I am trying to do it myself.
Amen.
Well, we appreciate you guys spreading the knowledge for sure. And we are done today unless anyone has any comments but we appreciate you joining us today. And again, we'll be back first Wednesday in December. So December 2nd will be our next meeting at 11. So hopefully you can join us. Have a great holiday Thanksgiving coming up.
Thanks everybody for calling in and joining on online here. Makes it worthwhile. Great job today, David.